something unusual has begun happening across several US military bases. Rail yards that normally remain quiet are suddenly filled with armored vehicles. Massive cargo trains are being loaded with tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, and military trucks. At major ports, large transport ships are preparing to move thousands of tons of military equipment across the ocean. Satellite images are showing convoys moving toward deployment points. And according to several defense analysts, this could be one of the largest recent movements of US military equipment toward the Middle East. But why now? Why is the United States suddenly preparing large amounts of armored equipment for overseas deployment? And what exactly is being sent? Because when the US military begins moving heavy armor, it usually signals something much bigger happening behind the scenes. The Middle East remains one of the most strategically important regions in the world. It connects Europe, Asia, and Africa while also containing some of the most critical global energy supply routes. Because of this, the United States has maintained a strong military presence across the region for decades. Air bases in Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. Naval forces operating in the Persian Gulf. And forward operating bases positioned across multiple countries. These facilities allow American forces to respond rapidly to any emerging security situation. But in recent months, tensions across the region have once again started increasing. Missile attacks, drone strikes, and clashes between regional forces have raised concerns about possible escalation. And when tensions rise, the US military often begins preparing long before the public notices. Because modern warfare is not only about weapons. It is about logistics. Moving thousands of tons of equipment across continents before a crisis even begins. Deploying military forces overseas requires one of the most complex logistics operations in the world. Armored vehicles like tanks and infantry fighting vehicles cannot simply fly across the ocean. Instead, they must travel through a carefully planned transportation network. The process begins at military bases across the United States. Heavy armored vehicles are driven onto large flatbed railcars designed to carry extremely heavy loads. Each train can transport dozens of armored vehicles across long distances toward major shipping ports. These trains can stretch for several kilometers and move slowly across the country. Once they arrive at the ports, another phase of the operation begins. The vehicles are loaded onto massive cargo ships known as roll-on roll-off vessels. These ships are designed specifically to transport military vehicles. Large ramps allow tanks and armored trucks to drive directly onto the ship under their own power. Inside the ship, the vehicles are parked extremely close together to maximize space. Then heavy steel chains are attached to secure them during the long ocean journey. Among the equipment being deployed are some of the most powerful armored systems used by the US Army. The most recognizable of these is the M1 Abrams main battle tank. Weighing more than 70 tons, the Abrams is designed to dominate modern battlefields. It carries a powerful 120mm cannon capable of destroying enemy armored vehicles at long distances. Its advanced targeting systems allow it to accurately hit targets even while moving. Alongside the Abrams tanks are M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles. These armored vehicles carry infantry soldiers into combat while also providing heavy fire support. Bradleys are equipped with automatic cannons and anti-tank missile systems. They can engage both ground vehicles and fortified positions. Another key system often deployed with armored units is the HIMARS rocket launcher. Mounted on a 6-wheel truck, this system can fire precision rockets that strike targets many kilometers away. HIMARS gained global attention due to its precision and mobility. Together, these systems create a powerful combined arms force capable of operating in modern warfare environments. But modern military operations depend on much more than tanks and armored vehicles. Information has become one of the most important elements of modern warfare. Before any major military operation begins, reconnaissance drones are often deployed to monitor large areas of terrain. These unmanned aircraft can fly high above the battlefield while transmitting real-time video back to command centers. Operators on the ground can monitor enemy movements, supply routes, and vehicle activity. If suspicious activity is detected, the information is immediately shared with military commanders. This allows forces to react quickly and coordinate their response. In some cases, drones can even guide precision weapons toward their targets. This combination of surveillance and precision firepower has changed how modern militaries operate. Instead of relying only on large formations of troops, commanders can now monitor entire regions using advanced sensors and unmanned systems. However, military deployments are not always intended for immediate combat. Sometimes their purpose is to send a strategic message. By positioning powerful military equipment near potential conflict zones, countries demonstrate their ability to respond quickly if necessary. This concept is known as deterrence. The idea is simple. If potential adversaries see a strong military presence, they may think twice before escalating tensions. Throughout history, large military deployments have often been used to prevent conflicts rather than start them. And in regions where tensions remain high, these displays of military capability can influence political decisions across multiple countries. At the same time, logistics units continue working behind the scenes to ensure that every piece of equipment reaches its destination on time. Fuel supplies, spare parts, maintenance crews, and communication systems all move alongside the main combat units. Without this support network, even the most advanced tanks and vehicles cannot operate effectively. Modern military operations depend heavily on this continuous flow of resources, making logistics just as important as frontline combat capability. As these movements continue, analysts are also paying attention to the scale and speed of deployment. The rate at which equipment is being transported, assembled, and positioned can often indicate the level of urgency behind the operation. Faster deployments usually suggest a higher level of readiness, while slower movements may indicate long-term positioning. In this case, the pace of activity has raised questions about whether these preparations are part of routine operations or something more significant developing in the region. At the same time, allied nations in the region are also adjusting their own military readiness in response to these developments. Joint exercises, increased patrols, and coordinated surveillance efforts often follow large-scale deployments like this. These actions are designed to improve coordination between forces and ensure that multiple countries can respond effectively if the situation changes. This kind of synchronized military activity highlights how modern conflicts are rarely limited to a single nation, but instead involve a broader network of strategic partnerships. For now, military convoys continue moving equipment while cargo ships transport armored vehicles across the ocean. Whether these deployments are preparing for a potential crisis or simply reinforcing regional stability remains to be seen. But history has shown that when large amounts of military equipment begin moving across the world, it usually means something important is unfolding behind the scenes. And the world will be watching closely to see what happens next. If you enjoy detailed breakdowns of global military developments like this, you can follow the channel for more. Thanks for watching.